Alright guys, so in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to take two pictures and merging them into one in a double exposure photo. So first thing you're going to need is two photos, one of a subject and one of a background. So the subject needs to be in a neutral background or have contrasting colors behind it so that it kind of pops out. The first step, we're going to be using a quick selection tool, which is going to make our lives much easier instead of using the lasso tool where we'd have to draw all the way around the character very tediously, making sure we hit every edge so the background doesn't come through. But using this quick selection tool is much easier. So first step is to zoom in. It's easier to get close to your subject so that you can make sure that you're not going outside of your subject edges. And we're just going to bring everything down in little clicks. Don't try and do it all in once in case you mess up. If you mess up, you're going to have to go all the way back to the beginning. Which it can be very tedious, so I don't want you guys to have to do that. I'm not going to get all his hair right here either. I'm just going to get those little pieces. Alright, zoom out. Next step is you're going to control click on your subject. You're going to feather and you're going to change it to 0.0 or 0.5. And then you can click OK. Next you're going to duplicate this layer. To duplicate, hold down Command J. That's going to put your model with a checkered background. And you can just delete layer 0 by clicking on it and clicking on the trash can. Now we need a background, so to create a background, we're going to click on the Adjustments tool, which is in the bottom right corner. It's the circle that's half filled in, half not filled in. You're going to click on Solid Color and drag up to white and click OK. To get your subject back on top, click on the subject layer, click and hold, move it above your color layer, and then you have your image. Alright, so next we're going to desaturate. So we're going to get all the color out of my subject. To desaturate, make sure you're on layer 1. We're going to go to Image, Adjustments, down to the bottom to desaturate. And again, this is just going to remove all the color so we have a black and white image. Next step is going to be opening your background layer. So I have my background layer opened already. But we're going to be dragging it over to our subject. So to do so, go to your Move tool. Click on your Move tool, click and hold your subject so that you can move it around. Keep holding up to the tab, keep holding until you get into your workspace, and then let go. So we're going to rename our two layers. The ones with your landscape or your background, you're going to name Landscape. And the one with your model or your subject, you're going to name Subject. To rename something, just click on the name and double click, then it'll be highlighted in blue and you guys can kind of move it from there. So the next step is going to be lining these guys up how you'd like to. To do so, make sure you are on your landscape layer, change the opacity to 50, and then you can move them around however you would please. You can use Command T to transform your image. If you do, please make sure you hold down Shift to keep it proportional so it doesn't get all blurry or unproportioned or anything like that. So you're just going to move it however you would like. I don't want these to cover up Messi's head or eyes, but I do like those lights up top. So I think I'm going to do something like that. I'm going to hit enter, and then we'll move to the next step. Next step, we're going to change the opacity back up to 100. We don't need to see where Messi is right now. We're then going to click on our subject layer. We're going to hold down Command. We're going to click in the little thumbnail, and that will give us our selection of our person. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to select the landscape layer, and you're going to choose layer mask. Layer mask is the piece of paper with a hole in it in the bottom right corner. And when you do that, you'll get a silhouette of your person with your landscape layer on top. Next, click your model layer, hold down Alt or Option, drag up above the landscape layer, and let go. This will give us Messi back. Next part is moving the blend mode. Change the blend mode from normal to lighten so that we can start seeing some of Camp Nou come through. You're going to change your opacity down somewhere between 70 and 50%, depending on how much you want to see currently. Next part is kind of the fun part. It's going to be where you are erasing and changing parts of, bringing parts of Messi through and adding parts of Camp Nou out also. So to do this, you're going to need 2 layer masks. You're going to need a layer mask on your subject layer, and you're going to need a layer mask on your landscape layer. What this is going to allow us to do is if we are on our layer mask on our subject layer, when we erase through, it's going to erase to Camp Nou. If we're clicked on our landscape layer mask, it's going to bring Messi back through because it's going to bring the subject layer in above it. So now I'm just going to kind of start playing around, see what I like, what I don't like. The brush I'm using is a really soft brush so that it doesn't have those harsh lines, and I've kind of got a smaller size. It's kind of a small subject right now. One thing I don't like is all this green, so I am going to get rid of all this green. I'm going to just kind of stick to those Barcelona colors. I do like his captain's band with the people in it. Alright, so this is kind of how I like it. It would probably take more time if I wasn't doing the tutorial, but for the purposes of this tutorial, this is going to be how I'm liking this one. I'm going to bring little bits through if I can. There we go. Alright, so then we want our background. So all I did for my background in this one was I took Camp Nou, Command A to select all, Command C to copy, then I brought it over and I Command V. Then I'm going to need to transform it with Command T, holding down Shift to keep it proportional, and then using the move tool to move it however I would like. Again, if you change the opacity, you'll be able to see kind of how it is. What I want to do is I want to start lining it up. So I'm going to try and line up these lights right here. because I know that these lights, for the most part, there we go. When I'm done, bring the opacity back up. You can then drag your layer to where you need it to go, like so. Once you guys are done, if you want to get rid of that white layer, you can also just change the color of your background by double clicking, and you're good to go. Next is you'll need to flatten image. Click on your top layer, go to your bottom layer, control click, flatten image. You can then crop it if you wanted to crop it. But once you're ready to go, file, export, export as. Please make sure you're exporting it as a JPG so that I can get a preview. It makes it a lot easier for me to grade and work with the file instead of it being a Photoshop file where I'd have to download it. Save it to my desktop, and then I'll submit it to Google Classroom.